Greetings, all 1016 adventurers of the realm. We did it. The Swordplay and Sorcery channel has officially crossed the 1,000 subscriber milestone, and my mind is just blown. Thank you everyone for the love and support that you've been showing the past few videos. It means the world to me, and it really encourages me to keep making these videos. Again, thank you so much. Today we're going to be going over the attacks and defense in DC20. Let's go ahead and start with attacks. When a creature is within the attack range of a target, they can choose to make an attack by making a spell or attack check. In DC20, there are two types of attacks: martials and spells. A martial check is when a creature makes an attack check against a target's defense using a weapon or an unarmed strike. A weapon attack is going to be made with what we know to be weapons: axe, sword, bows, you know, that sort of thing. Unarmed strikes are going to be made using any part of a creature's body: fists, arms, kicks, elbows, knees, you get the idea. A spell attack is when a creature makes a spell check against a target's defense. You can learn more about how checks work in our last video. In the game, there are two types of attack ranges: melee and ranged. Melee attacks are made within one space of the target creature, unless otherwise stated. The range of a ranged attack is determined by the type of weapon being used or by consulting the feature or spell being used. The first range is close quarters, which means a creature has disadvantage on ranged attacks while an enemy is within one space, unless the enemy is incapacitated. The second range is called weapon ranges. Weapons that can make ranged attacks will have a range shown in parentheses. The first number in the parentheses is called the normal range, meaning you can make an attack against any target within that range. The second number in parentheses is called the long range, which means you can make an attack with disadvantage against targets within that range. If your target is beyond the long range of your weapon range, then you cannot attack them. To determine if your attack or spell check hits the target, you're going to compare your roll to their defense. The attack hits if the result of your attack or spell check is equal to or greater than the target's defense. Which actually leads me into our next topic: defense. In DC20, creatures have two types of defenses: physical defense and mystical defense. Your physical defense, or PD, is a representation of how hard it is to hit you with physical or elemental attacks. These include, but are not limited to, bludgeoning, cold, corrosion, fire, lightning, piercing, poison, and slashing damage. To calculate your physical defense, you're going to start with a base of 8 plus your combat mastery plus your agility plus any armor bonuses. Additionally, if your character is wearing a shield, they can add their shield bonus to their physical defense. Next is your mystical defense, or MD. This represents the difficulty of hitting a creature with supernatural sources of damage that affect the mind and soul, like psychic, radiant, sonic, and umbral. To calculate your mystical defense, you're going to start with a base of 8 plus your combat mastery plus charisma and intelligence. Finally, let's dive into the concept of damage reduction. Damage reduction, or DR, reduces the damage of an attack or spell check made against a target's defense. There are two types of damage reduction: physical damage reduction and mystical damage reduction. The amount of damage that these reduce is going to be equal to the damage reduction value. We'll dive more into hits in a later video, but what you need to know is that damage reduction only applies to regular hits. This does not apply to heavy hits, brutal hits, and so forth. Also, a critical hit will always bypass damage reduction. And just like that, you now have a basic understanding of how attacks and defense work in DC20. If you liked what you saw and want to grab a copy of the alpha rules for yourself, I've included a link in the description and pinned comment that will take you to their Kickstarter page. As always, this is not a sponsored video. This is just a system I'm very passionate about. Want to learn more about the rules of DC20? Check out these videos that we made. I think you'll like them. I'll see you in the next video.